So for the past few months now, Ring of Honor has been appointment wrestling for me. I never miss an episode, and despite how much wrestling I watch, it's always quite high on my priority list. But this always seems to turn heads. A sentiment I normally seem to get when people find out I'm into Ring of Honor is, oh, I've heard the Pure Division stuff is good, but who cares? So today I'm gonna sit here and tell you why I love Ring of Honor so much. Before discussing the product itself, I think it might be a good idea to talk about how Ring of Honor fell out of prominence to begin with. From the mid to late 2010s, I'd say the biggest problem Ring of Honor had was a lack of identity. Because from around 2014 onwards, Ring of Honor's main identity was Bullet Club. Ring of Honor acted as a springboard for Bullet Club's Western popularity. But Bullet Club as a brand started to outgrow Ring of Honor, but that didn't stop Ring of Honor building their brand around it, giving sustained pushes to people like the Young Bucks, Marty Scurll and Cody. So when Cody and the Young Bucks left Ring of Honor to create AEW, it left them in a bit of a bad spot, and their perception throughout 2019 started to plummet. This came to a head at G1 Supercard, because a lot of people watching weren't invested in the Ring of Honor story and therefore weren't happy that Ring of Honor even had a presence. It was strange because anecdotally, I think New Japan fans started taking over Ring of Honor discourse. Because even as someone who only dipped in and out of the promotion at the time, I could see that half the claims being made were bullshit. For example, an argument I saw a lot at the time was people saying that Matt Taven winning the title made no sense, when in reality he'd been getting pushed in the title scene for almost a year at that point. And it was hard to persuade people to change that mindset because there was no unique selling point for Ring of Honor at the time. It's kind of just another good company in a sea of good companies, and in such a saturated market, it's not hard to see how people just didn't find the time for Ring of Honor. So I think the biggest change that people have noted in Ring of Honor is the reintroduction of Pure Rules, which, if you're not aware, is a rule set designed to make matches more honourable. Under Pure Rules, the Code of Honor must be adhered to, which means there must be a handshake before the match. Each competitor will be allotted 3 rope breaks, and once they're gone, ropes are no longer an option for you when caught in a submission or a pinfall. And if a hold can't be broken by a rope break, it means your opponent can use the ropes for leverage. When on the outside, there is a strict 20 count. A closed fist to the face is strictly forbidden. The first use of one will get you a warning, the second use of one will get you disqualified. If someone interferes, they will be immediately fired from Ring of Honor, and every match is contested under a time limit. This can range anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and in the case of a draw, the match's result will go to a judge's decision. These rules on paper can sound very restricting to what you can do in a match, but it leads to some very interesting dynamics. I'm going to leave a list of Pure matches you should check out down in the description. But to help put over how good I think Pure Rules can be, I'm going to talk about Rhett Titus versus Flip Gordon. Now, on paper, those two competitors don't sound too exciting together. It sounds sort of like your average TV match. But there is a bit of a story coming into this, with Flip Gordon recently declaring for the Pure Division and Rhett Titus being part of the Foundation. The same stable as champion Jonathan Gresham, who Flip lost to at Final Battle. After that loss, Rhett took offense to Flip Gordon not shaking Gresham's hand after the match. Within 5 minutes of the 15-minute time limit match, Rhett Titus had forced Flip Gordon to use 2 of his rope breaks, vastly out-wrestling Gordon in the first third of the match. Gordon not getting any offense in until around 6 minutes in, taking control of the match by targeting the neck of Titus. But at this point, Flip only has 9 minutes to put away Titus. He's essentially racing against the clock, which means, almost in an act of desperation, he goes to his own stomping ground and goes for a high-risk move off the top rope, which in recent Pure Rules canon has been really high risk, giving Titus the space to both lock him in a submission and hit bombs like a big German suplex. This meant that with 2.5 minutes to go, Rhett Titus was up 2 rope breaks to none. This meant Gordon was in trouble. If it went to a judge's decision, it was definitely going to go to Rhett Titus. Even beyond that fact, Flip is in deep trouble. He can't hit his finish because his leg is too injured from Titus's half crab. Seeing this, Titus continuously goes for flash pins, essentially trying to run out the clock. So seemingly, Flip is in an untenable position. But under Pure Rules, you're technically allowed 1 closed fist punch, which Flip throws, knocking Titus out, setting him up for a curb stomp and a flip 5 for Flip to get the victory. If this match, or even this dynamic, had been played out under normal rules, I don't think it would have landed as hard. They looked at the restrictions placed upon them and used it to heighten the drama of the match. Because Examples of this can be seen all throughout Pure Rules. Wrestlers use the rule set within the boundaries of their character. Heels like Flip Gordon, Dragon Lee and Kenny King have bent the rules to their breaking point. This isn't an open license to cheat though. In Pure Rules, the rules matter, which for me is refreshing, because so many title matches just go completely off the rails because of referee discretion or some other bullshit excuse. After the match we just discussed, Flip Gordon found himself suspended from the Pure division. This is for constantly bending the rules within the Pure division. You can use the rules in a heelish way, but if you continue to break them, you won't be allowed in the division. This is in stark contrast to the Foundation. Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal, Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus go out of their way to not only honour the rules of the Pure division, but also the spirit. They want to purify Ring of Honor, and you're not going to do that with cheating. They will work to make you burn your rope breaks to give them an advantage going forward, adhering to the rules to the very letter. And then of course you have people who work in the middle, like Dalton Castle and Josh Woods, who aren't overtly heelish, but they won't go out of their way to uphold honor like the Foundation do. There are some wildly different dynamics at play here in the Pure division. Possibilities within the rule set are only really down to your imagination. So if you think the rules are restricting, I think you need to widen your imagination. The format of Ring of Honor episodes makes them incredibly easy to watch. They run around 50 minutes long, and once you've skipped all the adverts that's in the middle of them, they're about 45 minutes long. It takes less time to watch an episode of Ring of Honor than it does to watch a New Japan main event with entrances. A vast majority of episodes will follow the same format. The show will start with Quinn McKay running down the 2 matches for the night. For each match there will be either a promo or a video package, where the competitors will go into why the match is important and why they need to win it. These packages are really well produced, making you really invested in matches you never expected to be invested in. For me, the best example of this is Shane Taylor's promo going into his match with ROH. The package just made me desperately want to see him win. But other examples of course, like Dalton Castle putting over the fact that he's not fully committed to wrestling, story fitting the format absolutely perfectly. Really helps disguise some of the people on the roster who are weaker at promos. Josh Woods isn't a great promo, but you don't really notice in this format. These promos make you invested in matches that you wouldn't be invested in otherwise. Not only do they put over the story of the wrestlers, they also put over how this will affect the championship rankings, making nearly every match feel like it's going to affect the title scene. It's very impressive. Another thing that really helps the investment of a match is the graphics package that Ring of Honor use. It has a clean aesthetic and gives you all the information you would want. It'll give you something like their winning percentage or how they've won their matches. Meaning, even if you're just diving in for the first time, you will immediately know where people stand on the roster. All of this, for me, feels very sports-based. Now, like most wrestling fans, I don't know a lot about sports, and the term sports-based gets thrown around so liberally that it kind of loses all meaning. But I've watched enough UFC to know that this is kind of how they set up their fights. In terms of both storyline and in-ring, it's definitely not trying to emulate MMA, and given how half the roster are high flyers, it would be weird if they did. But I think in terms of presentation, it strikes a good balance, only taking things from real sports that are going to enhance the in-ring action. Now, I am not a massive MMA fan, so I might be completely talking out my ass. But from my very unqualified perspective, this is the best example of taking elements from sports and put them into pro wrestling that we currently have today. Ring of Honor quietly has one of the best rosters in America for me. The main bulk of Ring of Honor's main event scene is split into factions, and these factions are essentially like an honor spectrum. On one extreme end you have La Faction Ingobernable, consisting of Dragon Lee, Kenny King, Leticia Del Ring, Rouge and Amy Rose. This faction are essentially rudos. They don't really care about the rules, they kinda just want to win. No honor within the stable, which is why no one here has declared for the Pure division. On the other extreme end you have the Foundation, consisting of Jay Lethal, Jonathan Gresham, Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams. Foundation's main goal is to purify Ring of Honor, wanting to make it a promotion purely based on talent, taking out all cheating, which naturally puts them at odds with LFI. All this feud has been based on the Foundation tutting LFI's actions, but recent developments on TV could make this bubble over to full faction warfare. But Ring of Honor has more than 2 factions. There are Shane Taylor Promotions, who have pride and honor but also don't really mind rule bending, or the Lucha Squad, who are basically just babyface as you like technicos. Shane Taylor Promotions especially has had run-ins with the Foundation and LFI. Possibility for all-out gang warfare is bubbling under and it's very exciting. It's been one of the things compelling me to watch every week. But even outside the factions, there are still plenty of small, compelling stories going on. Dalton Castle struggled to find a place that fits him in the new Ring of Honor. Silas Young's mentoring of Josh Woods. Flip Gordon acting as an actual mercenary. There's so many nice little stories going on that you'll probably get invested in at least one of them. And if for some reason you don't, you still have a reason to care about the matches on TV because of the rankings. As mentioned earlier, basically every match has the potential to shake up the rankings, which I think is what people wanted from AEW's rankings. Every match matters because a win can be the difference between you being ranked and unranked. So 9 times out of 10, even in cases where you don't care about the story at all, you still have something to be invested in. This also feels like a very selfless roster. No one feels like they're trying to outgrow the brand. Like when Cody was there, it felt like he was more there to get himself over than to help Ring of Honor. Like when he was there and he was champion, he felt very other. It didn't always feel like his heart was in Ring of Honor. And I watched the current roster, not only are they all really talented, they're all working together to build this brand. And throughout wrestling history, it's really easy to tell when people are working together to make something better. And it feels like that's what they're doing here. It's great to see. I think it's important when praising a product to bring up what could be better. If I were to sit here and pretend that Ring of Honor didn't have fault, it would be very disingenuous of me. Faults of Ring of Honor don't really outweigh what I enjoy about it, but they're still present, so we should discuss them. For me, one of the biggest problems is the women's division. Not that it's bad, more that it's non-existent. Last year, they lost their champion, Kelly Klein, to controversial circumstances, which I really hope Ring of Honor have addressed, because I'm going to be very disappointed if they didn't. But they still have a woman on their roster, and based on video packages, they still intend on using them, and they just haven't. Last year, Quinn McKay was very vocal of people who dismissed the Women of Honor division. Since Ring of Honor came back, it just hasn't been there. And being honest, it was one of the weaker parts of Ring of Honor when it was there. I never felt like Ring of Honor gave it the time of day. It just felt like they had it for the sake of having it. So if and when Ring of Honor bring it back, they need to put a lot of effort into building it. Because as it stands, all their divisions are well defined and well booked. And it really wouldn't be fair to the competitors in the Women of Honor division if they brought it back and just neglected it again. In terms of issues on current TV, I'm really not liking the Matt Taven, Mike Bennett stuff. It's not actively bad per se, but it is mid. And Ring of Honor seem to know that it's not landing themselves. When it was on the show a few weeks ago, they broke format to do it, which stank of, we didn't want to waste one of the slots on this, so we'll just cut down one of the promos to fit it in. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It feels like a relic from pre-lockdown Ring of Honor. It's not overly intrusive. It's on the program maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, but it's probably one of very few things on Ring of Honor TV I'm not finding compelling right now. In terms of where to start with Ring of Honor, they have a pay-per-view coming up on the 26th. It's their 19th anniversary card. It's shaping up really well. Their last pay-per-view and Final Battle was a very good show. If you want to start right now, just watch the latest weekly TV show and follow from there. And if you want to catch up, I'll leave a list of matches I think are worth watching down in the description. But for the most part, Ring of Honor is just very easy to jump into. Start on any episode and they'll do a very good job of getting over the stories being told. And if anything I've said today piques your curiosity, please check it out, because I've not had this much fun watching weekly wrestling in a long time. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end of my video. Had out the blue on this one. I don't think I've even mentioned making this on Twitter. If this video convinces one person to check out Ring of Honor, I'm completely happy. In terms of sheer match quality, it's not the best wrestling in the world. In terms of me wanting to watch it every week, it's probably the best for me right now, at least in America. Also, if you like what you saw today, please subscribe. If you want to catch more of me, my Twitter is @ChrysalusPuro. I'm also on a couple podcasts. There's Podmania, where we do watch-alongs of just random classic matches. We have a wheel now, that's fun. Also, there's the Stardomcast, where me and Rob just talk about Stardom about once a week. I also have a Discord for that podcast, which I'll leave down below. If you want more Ring of Honor content, I can recommend Ring of Honor's YouTube channel, where we have this program called Week by Week, where we break down the matches. It's actually really good. And also, Forrest Sowa has been doing his Pure Excellence series, where he breaks down Pure Rules matches. In terms of a single match breakdown, they're more in depth than I could ever fucking do. His passion for Ring of Honor really comes across in those videos. I highly recommend them. And that's about it. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.